Hello, in this video we are going to discuss the staffing process. And in the process of staffing, we would be discussing 8 points. The entire staffing process covers 8 points. The first is estimating manpower requirement, second is recruitment, third is selection, fourth placement and orientation, fifth training and development, sixth performance appraisal, seventh promotion and career planning, and eighth compensation. We would be discussing these points one by one, and these points together is called the steps in the staffing process. Now, first step involved in the staffing process is estimation of manpower requirements. Estimation of manpower requirements means understanding how many persons are needed and of what type. How many persons are needed and of what type? It means their educational qualifications, their skills, their experiences, etc., so that various job positions can be created. Now, it involves forecasting and determining future manpower needs of the organization. It means forecasting and determining the future manpower needs of the organization. It aims to determine the number of employees and the types of employees needed. While appointing or estimating the number of employees, the company should also make a policy to appoint different categories of people. The different categories of people means the appointment of the women, appointment of the men, appointment of persons from backward communities, and persons with special abilities. So such type of people must also be employed. So estimating the manpower requirement in simple terms means understanding how many people are needed and what type of people are needed in work. In order to estimate manpower requirement, two types of studies has to be undertaken. In order to estimate the manpower requirement, two types of studies has to be undertaken. One is workload analysis and second is workforce analysis. In order to study the manpower requirement or in order to estimate the manpower requirement, two types of studies have to be undertaken. One is the workload analysis and other is the workforce analysis. Workload analysis involves in determining the number and type of human resources required to perform various jobs and to achieve organizational objectives. It involves determining the number and the type of human resource required. Number and the type of human resource required to perform various jobs. Number means how much workers are needed, and type of human resource, which category of workers are needed, how many workers are required which must be skilled, how many workers are required which must be semi skilled, and how many workers are required must be unskilled. So such type of requirement is studied under the workload analysis. Second study that has to be conducted is workforce analysis. It shows the number and type of human resources available in the organization. So workforce analysis estimates the number and type of human resource available so that it may be known whether the organization is understaffed, overstaffed, or the workers are required further. So two types of study has to be conducted. One is the workload analysis, other is the workforce analysis. In the workload analysis, we are estimating the number of workers required in an organization and the type of human resource which are required to perform various jobs. Then in workforce analysis, we estimates the number and human resource available in the organization. How many workers are already there in the organization? This study helps us to determine whether the organization is understaffed or the organization is overstaffed. So in the first point, we have to estimate manpower requirement. How many persons are required to do a particular work? How many persons are to be appointed? And in order to study or estimate manpower requirement, two types of study has to be conducted. One is the workload analysis has to be done and the workforce analysis has to be done. The second step in the staffing process is recruitment. Second step in the staffing process is recruitment. Recruitment refers to a process of searching a prospective employees and encouraging them to apply for jobs in the organization. So recruitment is a process of searching for prospective employees and encouraging them to apply for the jobs in the organization. The objective of recruitment is to attract potential employees to the organization. So we can say that recruitment is a positive process. Recruitment is a positive process because it aims at attracting more and more employees in the organization. It is a positive process because it aims at creating a pool of prospective applicants. So in recruitment, large number of workers are invited to apply for a particular jobs. Now, therefore, we are defining recruitment as a process of searching means finding the prospective employees and encouraging them to apply for the jobs in the organization. Here recruitment is referred to as a positive process. It is a positive process because the main aim is to create a pool of prospective candidates to apply for the job in the organization. So second is recruitment. Third is selection. The third step in the staffing process is selection. Now selection begins after recruitment. Therefore, it is said that selection begins where recruitment ends. It is a process of choosing from the pool of prospective candidates who has applied for the job. Means in selection we have to choose the best candidate who is suitable to perform that particular work. In other words, it is a process of identifying and choosing the best person out of the number of persons who has applied for the job. So selection involves choosing the best person out of the pool of prospective candidates that is created through recruitment. And selection is done by the process of preliminary screening, different conducting different types of tests, etc. By such ways, by such methods, selection in is done. In the previous lecture we would be discussing both recruitment and selection in details, how selection done. But here it must be kept in mind that selection is a negative process. Selection is considered as a negative process because it selects very few candidates from a large pool of candidates that is available for selection. It selects very few candidates from the large pool of candidates that was available for selection, or large pool of candidates that has applied for the job. So in recruitment, we are inviting more and more people to apply for the job, and selection, we are selecting few number of workers which are required from the large pool of candidates that were available. So in the process of selection, we are rejecting the number of candidates that has employed. So therefore, selection is called a negative process, whereas recruitment was called the positive process. The next step in the process of staffing is placement and orientation. Orientation is also referred to as induction. Placement means it refers to the employee occupying the position or post for which a person has been selected. It means to assign specific jobs to the candidates selected for appointment. After placement, the employees need induction or orientation training. After the person has been appointed to a particular job, after the employee has been placed on a particular jobs, then after he needs orientation or induction training. Orientation refers to the process of introducing the new employees to the organization. To introduce new employee to the organization is known as orientation. The basic aim of orientation is to familiarize the new employee to the organization so that he can adjust in the working environment. So that the worker can adjust in the working environment, orientation program is conducted for the new employees. Let us take an example. Once the selection process is over and the teacher is selected, a teacher is selected after the selection process, the principal may introduce him to the entire staff, and the head of the departments may introduce him or her to the students, and the head of the department may show the newly appointed teacher the schools, gives him all the important documents, information, and the different types of instructions which is related to a job of the teacher. So this is orientation, this is induction. So placement means that employee is given a post, a position for which he has been selected, and orientation means to introduce the new employee to the organization. As for example, a new teacher is introduced by the principal to the HOD, that is the head of department, and head of the department is introducing the new teacher to the students. At the same time, the head of department is also informing the new teacher or guiding the new teacher about the documentations, about the various duties he or she has to perform, about the various documents that he or she has to complete, or he or she has to do documentations he or she has to do during his tenure of work. So this is placement and orientation. Then is training and development. Training refers to the process by which the attitude, skills, and abilities of employees to perform a specific work increases. So training refers to the process by which the attitude, skills, and abilities of employees to perform a specific work are increased. It means the worker learns new skills. It is a process of learning new skills and application of the knowledge by the worker. Development means learning opportunities, designing to help employees to grow. It includes training. It means growth of an individual in all respect. For example, if a new teacher selected is inexperienced, she may be asked to sit in few classes of her senior to understand the methods which is required in order to teach a particular subject. So this will help the skill of the teacher. Now, the schools regularly conducts workshops to help the teachers to develop the new teaching skills, new teaching strategies. So in this way, training and development shall be conducted to the worker. After selection process, after the process of selection, worker is given the post, and after giving the post, it is given the orientation training. Orientation has been done, or the worker is introduced to the employees. After that, training and development program can be conducted for the inexperienced teachers or inexperienced workers. Workshops can be conducted from time to time so that they get a chance to develop the skills. Development of the employee can be there. So this is the fifth point in the process of staffing. The sixth is the performance appraisal. It refers to a systematic evaluation of employees' performance. The employees has started working. Now after that, the manager has to check the performance of the employees. Some strategies, some standards has been set up, and that has to be compared. Evaluating an employee's current and the past performance against the predetermined standard. Question is, why performance appraisal is done by the managers? The main aim to determine the potential of an employee is for better assignments, for promotion, and for transfers. For promotion, for transfers, for better assignments, normally the managers they undertake the work of performance appraisal. All organizations have some formal and informal means of checking the employees' performance. They will be having some formal means, methods, or some informal methods to checking the performance of the workers. And for example, if a sales manager was given a target of rupees 50,000 pens during the month, a sales manager is given the target of selling 50,000 pens during the month, then his performance will be evaluated on this basis at the end of the month. Appraisals are used to study about the worker's behavior. With the help of appraisal, it can be decided whether a workers need training or not. Workers can be promoted to higher post. Compensation can be given to the workers on the basis of performance appraisal. So it will help the manager to decide about the workers. What are they expecting from the workers in next future to provide training to the workers, and if the workers is continuously doing well, then promotions may also be decided for the worker. Performance appraisal. Promotion and career planning. The next point is promotion and career planning. Now, if it becomes necessary for all organizations to take care the career related matters of the workers, to take care the career related matters of the workers, managers, they must encourage the employees to grow and realize their full potentials. What is the potential of the worker? That must that is very important for the manager to know, and the workers must also know. Promotions are an important part of people's career. Promotions means shifting an employee to the higher position so that he can carry out higher responsibilities, he gets better facilities, he gets better status and better pay. So promotion and career planning can be done, and this can only be done after the performance appraisal. Promotion refers to the putting the employees in a higher position so that he gets more responsibility, so that he can get more pay, the standard of living increases, the status in the society increases, his prestige increases, and this can only be done after performance appraisal. The old, trusted, trained, and better workers which are performing in a better way, those workers can be promoted to the higher post. Then is the compensation. The last point is the compensation. Financial benefits, which plays a very important role in the worker's mind. So managers, they should develop a sound policy, a better policy, so that compensation can be given to the workers. Compensation refers to all form of payments and rewards which are given to the employees. All forms of payments and rewards given to the employees is called compensation. Compensation policy of the organization will depend upon the financial strength of the company. It will depend upon the salary which is given by the competitive firms. It will depend upon the rules which is framed by the government from time to time, and it will also depend upon the bargaining power of the trade unions. So what type of, how much compensation is to be given, that will depend upon various factors. So compensation can be of two types. One is the direct compensation, that is the direct financial payments. Other is the indirect payments. Direct financial payments includes wages, salaries, compensations, incentives and bonus, whereas indirect payments includes vacations, employees contribution towards the social security schemes like LIC. And so the two types of compensation can be given. One is the financial payments compensation, and indirect payments. So in financial payments, the facilities are related with money, whereas in indirect payments, they are related with the security of the employees. So at last we can say that the process of staffing includes acquisition of the employees, means appointment of the employees, retention of the employees, and development of the employees, so that employees can work in an organization for a longer period of time. The entire staffing process is related to selecting the employees, is related to the retention of the employees and development of the employees and the performance of the employees, so that the employees works in a better way, performance of the employees is increased. We all know that the element of the organization depends upon better human resource. If an organization is having better human resource, the organization can grow. And if the organization is not having a better human resource, the organization will run in loss. The organization has to be shut down. So Staffing is very, very important, and the process has to be followed in a proper way. Thank you.